Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Good morning. It's great to have such an engaged audience for this wonderful day. My name is Patrick Spiro, and I'm the Executive Director of the George Washington Presidential Library here at Mount Vernon. And it is my incredible honor to welcome everybody to this very special ceremony today. Today we're going to be welcoming 90 people from 53 countries from across the globe to become the newest citizens of the United States of America. Congratulations. And I cannot think of a more fitting place to hold the ceremony on a day like this than Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon is one of the most significant sites in the United States. George Washington called this place home for 40 years. For Washington, Mount Vernon was a place of innovation, experimentation, and entrepreneurship. It also served as a place of solace and reflection as he dealt with the pressures of war and divisive national politics. And after Washington retired from public life, Mount Vernon became a place of hospitality. Scores of visitors descended on Mount Vernon after Washington retired. They came, many of whom came unannounced, and so many people were people that Washington had never before met. And they all came to call on Washington because they wanted to meet the person who had led the nation through the Revolutionary War and had secured the United States' foundation as its first president. In fact, so many people came to Mount Vernon that the government offered Washington a special stipend to pay for all the entertaining he had to do, but Washington refused. Mount Vernon's more recent history is just as important. In 1853, as the last Washington descendants were living in this house, it had fallen into disrepair, and they were considering selling it for development. But a group of patriotic women banded together and said that this house is too important to our nation and it needed to be preserved for posterity. They organized the nation to save this country and raised over $200,000 to purchase this property and to turn it into the museum it is today, to help educate new generations about George Washington and the foundings of this country. The Mount Vernon Ladies Association has stewarded this property ever since and has set the example for historic preservation in the country. Today, over 90 million people have visited Mount Vernon, and they come today, just as they did almost 250 years ago, to pay homage to and learn about the father of our country, George Washington. Now, Washington opened his doors to these strangers, just as we do today, because he believed that people from different backgrounds could come together as one people, united in what Washington called the cause. It was the idea that the best form of government was one for the people and by the people. It's an idea as inspiring today as it was in 1776. As Washington said to the troops at the end of the Revolutionary War, who could imagine that men who came from different parts of the continent could become one patriotic band of brothers? And just a year later, after Washington had returned to Mount Vernon, he lived that creed. In 1784, as he was looking to hire new workmen for Mount Vernon, he wrote that all he cared about was their potential. This is what he said: "If they are good workmen, they may come from Asia, Africa, or Europe. They may be Muslim, Jews, or Christians of any sect. They may even be atheists." Today, through this ceremony, we are continuing this spirit by welcoming others from all over the world to become a part of this nation, to become out of many, one. And I want to share a little personal story today. I'm the new executive director at the Presidential Library. In fact, I arrived only a week ago myself. And as I was thinking about this speech, I couldn't help but think about my grandmother. She was born in Italy in 1912, and her parents named her America for the place they dreamed of going. And she eventually made it here, and she married another Italian with the last name Spiro. So my name is Patrick Spiro. And Spiro in Italian means I hope. So her name was America, I Hope. Now, she didn't have an easy life. Her mother died when she was young, and she was left to raise her siblings. She never went to high school, and I doubt she ever thought that her son would go to college or ever dreamt that her grandson would one day become the director of George Washington's Presidential Library. And during my career, I've often been asked this very strange question, which is, Why did someone like you, someone whose ancestors had nothing to do with the founding of the country, dedicate their life to studying it? I'm a historian. This question always surprised me because as part of this country, it doesn't matter when you or your ancestors arrived. This history is all of our history because it continues to shape who we are today. It is through it that we can learn about who we are as a nation, why things are the way they are, and where we can go as a people. It can help us transcend our differences and become, as Washington said in 1776, one patriotic band who can, together, sustain this great experiment in democracy. It is a past that is now also yours as much as it is mine. Welcome and congratulations. Before I turn things over, I would like to quickly thank the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services for their continued partnership. Thank you, Ms. Zanotti, and the Washington Field Office staff. I would also like to thank the Mount Vernon chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution for their strong support of Mount Vernon and their participation in our July 4th celebration each and every year. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation on behalf of the Mount Vernon Ladies Association and all the staff here to Mr. Z. O'Jackley and our friends from Boeing. And lastly, thank you for the Honorable Juliette Van Noyes, who we are honored to have join us today. And I'd also like to thank you as Mount Vernon's special welcome to all the new citizens today. You all have in your packages today a free 1-year family membership to Mount Vernon, so you can come back and explore it with everybody when you get a chance. So it is now my pleasure to introduce Kimberly Zanotti. Ms. Zanotti serves as the Field Office Director for the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Washington Field Office and has more than 31 years experience and is the former with the USCIS and the former Immigration and Naturalization Service. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Zanotti.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Spiro, for welcoming us all here today. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you, your family, friends, and guests to today's special naturalization ceremony here at George and Martha Washington's Mount Vernon. I also want to thank the wonderful team here at Mount Vernon for hosting us on this very special day. I would also like to introduce the distinguished guests who have joined. You've already met Dr. Spiro, Executive Director of the George Washington Presidential Library here at Mount Vernon, but there's also Ambassador Juliette Noyes, Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration at the Department of State, Mr. Bert Roberts, Supervisory Immigration Services Officer at the Washington Field Office of USCIS, and Mr. Z. O'Jackley, Executive Vice President for Government Operations at Boeing. Thank you all for joining us here for this special 4th of July ceremony. But now, to officially begin our ceremony, I would like everyone to please rise and place your right hand over your heart for the national anthem. Please welcome DC, Maryland, and Virginia artist Jessica Lynn as she sings the national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
Please be seated. Thank you, Jessica. That was beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Now, it is my distinct privilege to call the countries and present the candidates for naturalization. Candidates, when you hear your country of nationality called, please stand and remain standing for the oath of allegiance. Afghanistan, Argentina, Azerbaijan, Bolivia, Canada, China, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guatemala, Guinea, Haiti, Honduras, India, Indonesia, Iran, Ireland, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Laos, Lebanon, Mexico, Morocco, Nepal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Peru, Philippines, Romania, Russia, Senegal, Serbia, Sierra Leone, South Korea, Sudan, Sweden, Thailand, Trinidad and Tobago, Turkey, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and Vietnam. Ms. Zanotti, I present to you 90 candidates representing 53 countries who have applied to become citizens of the United States. Each of the candidates has been interviewed by an officer of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and unless exempted by the law, has demonstrated the ability to read, write, and speak words in the English language. Each has demonstrated his or her knowledge and understanding of the history and the principles and form of government of the United States. Ms. Zanotti, I recommend that these candidates be administered the oath of allegiance, thereby admitting them to United States citizenship.
Thank you, Bert. All right, it is my pleasure and privilege to administer the oath of allegiance to the candidates for naturalization assembled before me today. Candidates, please raise your right hands and you will be repeating after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. Congratulations, you are America's newest citizens. Congratulations again. Please be seated. So I am honored to be the first to address you as my fellow Americans and to be with you on this milestone day in your lives. As we celebrate our nation's 247th birthday, it is fitting that we welcome you, our newest citizens, here at the home of George Washington, one of our nation's founding fathers and our first president. I want to thank Dr. Patrick Spiro, the staff of Mount Vernon, and the Mount Vernon Ladies Association for hosting today's ceremony at this historical and inspiring venue. Each year, USCIS welcomes thousands of new citizens with special naturalization ceremonies just like this. USCIS will celebrate Independence Day this year by welcoming more than 5,500 new citizens in more than 180 naturalization ceremonies between June 30th and July 7th. Embracing U.S. citizenship is a remarkable act of patriotism for those who choose to make a permanent commitment to the United States. Today, in taking the oath of allegiance to support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, you have gained important new rights and responsibilities, along with ownership of America's future. I'm confident that you will fully exercise these rights and meet the responsibilities that accompany U.S. citizenship, and that in so doing, you will help strengthen our nation. For the 11 newest citizens who are active duty military members, it takes a very special person to join the armed forces of the United States before even becoming an American citizen. All of you will be united by the civic ideals and a belief in the rights and freedoms that are guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Your dedication to this country is deeply appreciated. So to those service members and military spouses with us today, thank you so much for your service. And to all new fellow citizens, congratulations. Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Julieta Noyes, Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. Ambassador Noyes is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service who previously served as Deputy Director and Acting Director of the Foreign Service Institute from 2018 to 2021. She was U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Croatia from 2015 to 2017, and she served as Deputy Assistant Secretary, Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs from 2013 to 2015, where she managed relations with 12 Western European countries and the European Union, and she has held many other leadership positions within the State Department. Please join me in welcoming Ambassador Noyes to the lectern.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Kimberly, for that very kind introduction. Thanks to you and the rest of your team at USCIS for inviting me to share some reflections on this extremely joyful day. Thanks also to Dr. Patrick Spiro and the team at Mount Vernon for hosting us all. But today, I reserve my deepest gratitude to our 90 newest Americans. You come from 53 countries and many parts of the world. Among you are speakers of dozens of languages, adherents of many religions. You are fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, soldiers and teachers, carrying with you the proud legacies of your families and your cultures. And today, you take on a new title, citizen. It is one that you chose and one that you've earned over many years of filling out forms, attending interviews, and studying for tests. And I can promise you that every ounce of that effort was worth it. But the effort doesn't end here. Because while ceremonies like this feel like the end of a journey, today is quite the opposite. For those of you who took the oath today, this is only the beginning. Because the strength and vitality of American democracy at every level depends on the investment of our citizens, and as of today, that includes all of you. So I hope that when you leave here today, your first priority, after celebrating with your family and friends, of course, will be to register to vote. And then I hope that you will exercise your right to vote for whomever you choose at every opportunity, not just to elect a new president every 4 years, but whenever your local community elects a new mayor, a new town council, a new school board. Your voice matters, and it is vital to our democracy. I also hope that you will look for other ways to give back to your communities, and I have a suggestion for you. This past January, we launched the Welcome Corps, a groundbreaking initiative that empowers everyday Americans to play a direct role in welcoming refugees to the United States for resettlement. Many were people, these American citizens who registered to help refugees resettle were people who had immigrated themselves to the United States or whose parents had immigrated and who wanted to repay the kindness of Americans who had helped them. And that sentiment is a familiar one. My own parents came to the United States as refugees from Cuba decades ago. Like tens of thousands before them, and perhaps like some of you, their neighbors and their communities supported them as they built new lives in the United States. The Welcome Corps brings refugee resettlement in the United States back to its origins when private citizens organized in faith communities and neighborhoods to provide a warm welcome to those arriving in America. I'm proud that the United States continues to resettle more refugees than any other country in the world, and innovations like the Welcome Corps means we can welcome even more in the future. But however you decide to exercise the benefits, the privileges, and the rights of American citizenship, your incredible journey starts today. And it starts here at Mount Vernon, where after retiring from public service, George Washington spent the remaining years of his life. In his farewell address, he described his vision for his civilian life after public service, and he said he looked forward to the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens the benign influence of good laws under a free government. On this July 4th holiday, there is no better way to describe your new lives as citizens. I can't wait to see what you do. So thank you again, congratulations again, and may God bless all of you and the United States of America.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Noyes. All right, I would like at this time for everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So unlike the Oath of Allegiance, when you raised your right hand and repeated after me, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we place our right hands over our hearts, and we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance together in unison. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. At this time, I would now like to introduce a very special person who would like to add his congratulations on this wonderful holiday we are celebrating today. Everyone, please welcome General George Washington.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Mount Vernon. It's a pleasure to welcome you to my home. Looking out upon you today, you may not recognize it, but we have much in common. more so after this day. For those of you who have been serving in uniform before becoming citizens, I did as well. And for those of you who have just become citizens on the 4th of July, when independence was declared, I was as well. For it was on the Declaration of Independence that I was no longer a British citizen, but was now a citizen of the United States of America. Citizens by choice have a very different experience, do we not? We come into this with a full knowledge of what we are leaving behind and what we hope we are moving towards. I can tell you that you are now no longer subjects of a great ruler, but you are now part of the government of the United States. As citizens, we are all the keepers of our government. Today, you are not just being brought in and initiated and sworn in allegiance, but you are being commissioned for a great work that must continue. It is all of us, our responsibility, to make those words that were declared on the 4th of July in 1776 to be reality. For when we first declared them, they were not so. It was not what we were, but what we hope to be. And those words, as a direction, as the wayfinder, the true north compass for our map, we then added our plan of how we would arrive at them with the Constitution, which has provided the way for you to become citizens today. I will keep my remarks rather brief, as the sun has just decided to announce itself fully on your faces today. But I wish to say, as I began my speech today, I began to welcome you to my home of Mount Vernon. But now it is my even greater pleasure to say, welcome home. Welcome home, my fellow Americans.
Thank you, General Washington, for your sage remarks and for opening your home to us today. At this time, we would like to present our newest fellow Americans with their certificates of naturalization. I would like to invite our platform party to form the receiving line as we present certificates and congratulate each new citizen. New citizens, when your name is called, please come forward to receive your certificate and return to your seat. Henry Pakwesi Williams. Isaac Akumfi Yaboa. Laura Camila Orozco Benavides. Frederick Louis Bidolph. Gabriela Dayanara Paredes Munoz. Sia Ho. Zaida Patricia Espinoza. Itamar Franco Carrillo Flores. Richardson Hippolyte. Donggun Kim. Rendersley Clercias. Abdul Basit Nasom Ibrahim Nambimba. Andrea Elena Huckabee. Ivy Bakachao Hormilada. Ryan Augustus Tan Hormilada. Sule Sanko. Kathleen Marie Alinea Sullivan. Sammy Jose Galvez de Leon. Yvonne Berenice Ars Gomez. Fatima Abdelazim Awadelas Hamed. Jose Gustavo Lanez Zambrano. Gary Fernando Sajines Rivera. Rubab Sarwar Khan. David Edward Moses. Karina Briselda Chilulo Pilia. Uforo Michael Inyong Opara. Zarish Zia. Becca Befakadu Mola. On Thi Nwak Nguyen. Miljana Mitic. Baris Diaroglu. Fatou Diouf. Mamadou Diouf Sek. Thui Ngwak Nguyen. Cheng Ming Liu. Carols Nadi Adeb Armanos. Lilia Ashley Gabales. Macrina Williams. Neda Ximena Carrasco de Foronda. Jean-Paul Peter Marcos. Alain Kabongo Beaumont. Nilionda Fansavon. Donna Michelle Byrne. Farida Ziar. Ibrahim Hassan Kamara. Mezgana Tekliab Asfasha. Ahmet Kose. Miao Lu. Irma Gabriela Benitez Padilla. Yosu David Argueta Nolasco. Niayesh Sameni. Hussein Hassan Hussein. Hannah Johannes Tesholm. Karen Melissa Dosman Mejia. Lehia Maria Escobar Calderon. Shikha Anand. Mark Soma. Vladimir Alexandrovich Zaslovsky. Tetiana Kushnir. Alejandro Sabath. Josefina Gallo. Nisha Pradhan. Derek Ho Tak Tong. Basanta Kumar Sresha. Siddhartha Kafle. Bujima Kanafu. Rahima Milka Nianmuhindu. David John Malte Eneksen. Leonardo Alfredo Salazar Zamora. Chi Ching Huang. Shazia Ahmed Khan. Sun Hee Young. Bettina Leticia Calderon. Natasha Patnak. Mir Nakibullah Mortaza. Teddy Ruslam. Ronnie Mutombo Mwamba. Zana Timurovna Isatayev. Abel Metefria Gebru. Tural Suleiman Oglu Ismailov. Mohamed Lemarhi. Javier Aurelio Mendoza Puri. Wiche Bamrong. Dora Sise. Amani Mohamed Abed Brikat. Jacqueline Moraf Sargios Hakim. Iqbal Mohamed Ahmed Al-Hamoudi. Santos Eleonora Zepeda Contreras. Okju Moon.
Okay, one more round of applause for our new fellow Americans. And I'll tell you, it's great to be with Assistant Secretary Julieta Noyes, Dr. Spiro, the newly minted Executive Director of Mount Vernon, and already having a great time. Kimberly Zanotti, Director of USCIS Washington Field Office, and Bert Roberts, Supervisor of the Washington Field Office. It's a real honor to be here on behalf of the Boeing Company, and we're proud to be the presenting sponsor of this ceremony again this year. And we're also honored to be standing on the historic grounds of George Washington's Mount Vernon to celebrate our new countrymen and women who have come from every corner of the globe to make the choice to join our great nation. It's particularly special for me, as you can guess, with a name like Ziad Ojaqli. I didn't come over on the Mayflower, nor did my parents. I am a first-generation son of two immigrants who became U.S. citizens. My father was from Jordan, my mother from Ireland. I liked that they were both together on the roll when we were reading that earlier. And I'm probably the only Jordanian Irish American in this crowd, unless my sister's here somewhere. But for my parents, their experience wasn't unique, except it was uniquely American. I can really remember so vividly how my parents' citizenship certificates occupied a hallowed place in our home. They were so proud to become U.S. citizens. And I know you feel that same sense of pride and that same sense of excitement about the promise this new beginning brings to you and your families. But also, remember for a second, and I know you will, the rich cultures and heritages you bring with you. Please don't leave them behind. They will always enrich this nation's character. They make this country great. For us at Boeing, Independence Day is a big deal. We stand for those willing to fight on the front lines defending our freedoms. As a leading employer of veterans, we stand for those who have sacrificed for those freedoms. And today we stand for you as newly sworn in citizens who embrace these freedoms. And we know you'll defend them. And it's so wonderful looking out on this front row. Some of you have already been doing just that. So thank you again. Independence Day reminds us that freedom has never come free. It requires constant attention and work, a work you now take on with the rest of us. And it's ceremonies like this that are a renewal of that spirit, a renewal, a rebirth of the American dream. So on behalf of our diverse workforce of over 150,000 at Boeing, here's to your first Independence Day as U.S. citizens. Celebrate today. Celebrate with your family and friends, but always remember that for you and for all of us, every day is Independence Day. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Ojackly. All right, so I'm going to provide a dismissal. I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning to celebrate your citizenship. It has been a distinct privilege for us to be here today. I'd like to have a final round of applause for America's newest citizens. And I will invite Jessica Lynn back to close our ceremony with a singing of God Bless America. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet, sweet, sweet home.